Stage 2 of this project deals with working with linked images and some fancy things you can do with that. I'm on the first page of our Boulevard catalog, and we need to place an image down at the bottom left-hand corner. So let's go to File and Place. Navigate to the Downtown folder with your name on it, and inside of the Links folder, find the Bloom TIFF. Do make sure Show Import Options is checked on, and when we say Open, this particular image has an alpha channel, meaning it has a transparency channel that recognizes the white area as being transparent, and that's what we want to turn on. So change the transparency channel from none to outline so that we get the top and right-hand side showing. You can click on the color palette to see what profile has been assigned to it, but we're not going to change it, so let's say Open here. Next, we're going to click carefully at the bottom left-hand side just once to add that image to the very bottom. Now if your image is off by a little bit, use your black arrow to click and drag until its bottom leftmost corner matches the bottom left bleed edge of your document. Next, we need to turn on text wrapping, so let's go up to Window and open up our text wrap options. I'll drag it off here so we can see it. And in this case, we want it to wrap around not just the text or the picture box, but the actual picture itself. So choose the third option to wrap around the object shape. And then we're going to turn on some outset to push it away from our object. We'll set the outset to be 0.375 and put it in all of the different parts of it. Now in my case, I see I've made a mistake. I didn't have the object selected. So this time, make sure your object is selected. Now let's choose the object itself. With the object self turned on, let's set it to 0.375 on all sides. And this time we're going to choose the corner type or the contour type. Instead of same as clipping, we're going to choose alpha channel, which will choose the outline. That's the way it should look. Now you can see it's wrapping nicely around that particular object, and it works. Now let's see if we can place multiple JPEGs into our document. We'll go back up to File and Place. We're still working in the Links folder, and I want you to hold down Command as you click on the Farmers Market, Fireworks, Rochambeau, Pavement, and Shops JPEG. When we say Open, now because Show Import Options was selected, it's going to show all the options for this, and to be honest, we're not going to change anything. So just say OK multiple times as it imports each of these 5 images. And remember, these images are going to follow your cursor until you click where you want them to go. Now if I needed to change over to a different image, I can use my right or left arrow to go to the image that I want. So for this first page, I want to choose the Boulevard and place it right up there. That looks good. Let's scroll on down to page 2, and then we'll go over to our Shops JPEG, which is this one, and place that one there. And down at the very bottom, we want to place the fireworks image right there. Go into page 3. At the top, we want to place the little fruit, and at the bottom, finally, we'll place this one right there. There's not going to be anything for now on the back page, so we're going up to File, and let's save what we have and continue on. I'm going to move the text wrap box out of the way. Let's go down to page 4 and zoom in so we can see it. On page 4, let's place another InDesign document. So File and Place, and locate the Invitation InDesign document, this one right here. Do make sure Import Options is still checked on, and when we say Open, under the General tab, make sure Bleed Bounding Box is what we're going to crop this to. We'll say OK to this, and it's going to give you a links problem, but we'll say OK to that and fix it in just a moment. Remember, it's going to follow your cursor until we click on the top left-hand corner and let it snap to my page. Now, since we had a problem with our links, let's go up to our links panel and find where the issue is. I'm going to scroll down. If you need to, you can click and drag. There's my invitation. We can open it up, and I can see it's missing a tables. I'm going to click on the Invitation InDesign document, then click on the little pencil icon to edit the original. This is saying, are you sure you want to do this? We're going to click on Update Links. When it asks to adjust the policy, we're going to adjust it, and say OK. Same way for the other one, adjust it and say OK. And now we've got another InDesign document just for the invitation and one for the boulevard. Right now we're working in the invitation, and we want to replace the native Photoshop file that's already there. So let's go to File, make sure it's saved, and continue on. If we go to our Links panel now, you can see Tables to JPEG is completely missing. So if we click on the little red circle, or excuse me, double click on it, it's going to ask us what do we want to replace it with. And let's choose this Montage Photoshop document. Again, Show Import Options is open. We'll say Open to this. And you can see under the Layers tablet that there's a variety of different layers. 2 of them are turned on and visible, and 2 of them have been turned off. We're going to say OK to this. And you can see it updates and automatically places itself inside of where that table's JPEG was. Now right now this image is a little bit big, and I know it's a little bit too big because if I click on the content grabber in this very center, I can go up to my X and Y location or scale right here and see it's at 112. Let's set that down to be 100% for both the X and the Y, and that will scale it down to where it needs to be. Now let's see if we can open up this Photoshop file and edit it in Photoshop. With my selection tool still selected, hold down Control and click on the image. From here, choose Edit With, and in our case, choose Adobe Photoshop. Give it just a second to launch Adobe Photoshop, and it'll open up this document as its Photoshop file. What we want to do in Photoshop is to go to our Layers panel at the very bottom. Let's scroll to the top of the layers, and let's turn on visibility for the boulevard and also visibility for the web address. I can see it down here now, and if necessary, I can choose my selection tool, my move tool. Let's click on the web address. I'm going to move it slightly up so that there's a little bit more room and nudge it over so that I can see it. I'm actually going to move it over so it snaps nicely to that rightmost guide. Once we've finished with this, turning on those layers and moving them over, we can then go to File and save this Photoshop file. We can close it out. Now when we close out Photoshop and jump back into InDesign, watch it update. Automatically it's updated and it's good to go from here. Now I can even close out my InDesign invitation and we'll save it. When I jump back to my original boulevard, you can see that this InDesign document has now been saved and updated as well. Now that we're back in our Boulevard InDesign document, let's see what it would look like if we previewed the separations. So with this open, let's go up to Window, down to Output, and choose Separations Preview. From the View options here, we can turn on Separations, and this will show us what colors will look like as it creates each plate. Let's click this Pantone color to view it. And you can see everywhere that we're using just this Pantone color. So on page 4, here it is on page 3 and 2, all the way back up to page 1. The Pantone color the book wants you to choose is the last one, Pantone 875. And then finally, if you want to view all of them, choose the CMYK, and this will select all of the different colors, minus any of the Pantones that may be printing as well. Once we're finished previewing it, we can go back up to View and turn it off, and that's a handy feature to know how to use. Now, since this logo is using a spot color, we need to convert it to a CMYK color. And this logo was developed in Illustrator, so we need to open it up in Illustrator to make that particular change. So going back to our links, let's scroll and find the Boulevard logo. You can see it's being used multiple different places, but when you select the top one and choose Edit Original, this will open up Adobe in Illustrator and will allow us to change the color of this particular logo. Once it's opened, let's open up the Swatches panel. If I don't see it on the side, we can go to Window, down to Swatches. Oh, there it was, hiding at the bottom. You can see the two Pantone colors are global colors, and they're also spot colors. If you double click on, say, the Pantone 7554, it'll open up the swatch options. Let's change the color mode from book to CMYK. It'll automatically choose the most appropriate CMYK color, and we can say the color type will be a process color. We'll say OK to that. And let's do the same thing for the lighter brown. Double click on that one, change it to CMYK, and also make it process, and say OK to that. With this done, we can hit Save or go to File and Save. Let's close out the Illustrator document, and we can jump back into our InDesign document. You'll notice now that it has a modification icon. All you've got to do is double click this icon, and this will update any uses of the logo. Now when we go back to our links panel, you can click on the invitation InDesign file, and you can see that the logo is also updated from here. So with it selected, let's edit the original. It's going to ask to update the links. We're going to say update for that one. Now that that logo is nice and updated, we can actually save it and then return to our Boulevard document. And now you can see all of our Illustrator logos and everything else has been nice and modified. Seems like you have to go around the world to get that done, but that's the process that it goes through to update all of the links. We've successfully finished up this stage. Let's go to File and Save and continue on to stage 3.